Stop everything right now, because if you were born before 1961, what I'm about to tell you could put £562 directly into your pocket. The Department for Work and Pensions has just confirmed something huge that millions of state pensioners need to know about immediately. We're talking about real money that could be yours, and if you don't watch this entire video, you might miss out on cash that's rightfully yours. This isn't clickbait. This isn't speculation. This is official confirmation from the DWP about payments that could transform your financial situation. So stay with me, because the next few minutes could be absolutely crucial for your finances. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm all about breaking down complex pension and benefit news into simple, easy-to-understand information that you can actually use. Today's video is incredibly important because we're discussing confirmed payments that could affect hundreds of thousands of pensioners across the UK. And I want to make absolutely sure that everyone who's entitled to this money knows exactly how to claim it. Before we dive in, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss crucial updates like this one. I post regular videos about state pensions, pension credit, winter fuel payments, and all the benefits that matter to you. If you find this information valuable, give this video a thumbs up, because it helps more people discover content that could genuinely change their financial situation. Also, share this with anyone you know who might be affected, because spreading this information could help someone claim money they didn't even know they were owed. Now, let's get straight into what this £562 payment is all about and how you can make sure you get every penny. The Department for Work and Pensions has confirmed details about a significant payment specifically affecting state pensioners born before 1961. This isn't just another routine payment or government handout that you might hear about in the news. This is something much more substantial because it's about corrections being made to state pension payments that should have been calculated correctly from the very beginning. If you were born before 1961, you receive what's known as the basic state pension, or old state pension, not the new state pension that was introduced in April 2016. This distinction is absolutely crucial because these two systems work completely differently and have different components that can significantly boost your overall income in retirement. The basic state pension is built on your national insurance contribution record, requiring 30 qualifying years for the full amount. On top of this base amount, there are additional elements that many pensioners are entitled to but might not even be aware of, including additional state pension through schemes called SERPs and S2P, graduated retirement benefit from contributions made between 1961 and 1975, and various other top-ups depending on your individual circumstances. Here's where things get really concerning and why this news is so important. The DWP has uncovered systematic errors in how state pensions have been calculated for certain groups of pensioners. We're talking about tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of people who've been underpaid their state pension, sometimes for many years or even decades. The £562 figure represents a typical annual adjustment for specific categories of these underpayments, though individual amounts can range anywhere from a few £100s to tens of thousands of pounds, depending on how long the error has been going on. The most commonly affected group are married women and widows, and this is a really important category to understand. Under the old state pension rules, when a woman married or formed a civil partnership after reaching state pension age, her pension should have automatically increased to 60% of her husband's basic state pension if that amount was higher than what she was already receiving based on her own national insurance record. Similarly, when a woman was widowed, her pension should have increased substantially to include inherited additional pension from her late husband. The problem is that these increases weren't always applied automatically as they should have been.
The system relied heavily on pensioners notifying the DWP of changes in their circumstances, but many people didn't realize this was necessary. Or they did notify the DWP, but their information wasn't processed correctly due to administrative errors.
The consequence of this has been devastating for many, with thousands of women receiving lower pensions than they're entitled to, sometimes for decades without anyone noticing the mistake. Another significant affected group includes people who deferred claiming their state pension. When you delay taking your pension past your state pension age, you're entitled to either higher weekly payments when you eventually claim, or a one-off lump sum payment to reward you for the deferral. The increase is calculated at a specific rate for each week you defer. However, some people who took this option didn't receive the correct uplift when they finally claimed their pension, leading to ongoing underpayments that have continued month after month, year after year. People reaching their 80th birthday while receiving state pension have also experienced significant issues. When you turn 80, you're entitled to what's called an age addition, which is a small weekly increase to your state pension that should be applied automatically by the system. In many cases across the country, this increase wasn't applied when it should have been, meaning people have been missing out on this extra money from age 80 onwards, and those small weekly amounts add up to substantial sums over time. Category D pensions represent another area where errors have occurred. These are non-contributory pensions paid to people over 80 who don't qualify for a basic state pension based on their own contributions. Some people should have had their Category D pension increased when their circumstances changed, but once again, these increases weren't always applied correctly. Let's discuss the £562 payment figure specifically and what it really means for you. This represents a typical annual underpayment for certain affected categories. If you've been underpaid this amount every single year for 5 years, you'd be due around £2,800 in back payments plus interest. For 10 years of underpayments, that's over £5,600 owed to you. The DWP has publicly stated that the average underpayment they've identified so far is approximately £5,000, though this varies enormously depending on individual circumstances, with some people owed much more and others owed less. It's absolutely vital to understand that this isn't a new benefit or bonus payment from the government. This is money that should have been paid to you all along as part of your regular state pension. It's a correction of administrative errors, and you're legally entitled to receive both the back payment for all those previous years and the correct ongoing amount going forward into the future. The DWP is also required to pay interest on the arrears to compensate you for not having had access to your money when you should have, and this interest can add a significant amount to the total you receive. How do you know if you're one of the people affected by these underpayments? The DWP has been conducting what they call systematic reviews of state pension awards, working through records methodically, identifying people who've been underpaid and contacting them directly by letter. If you're owed money and your case has been reviewed as part of this exercise, you should receive a detailed letter from the DWP explaining the underpayment situation, how much you're due to receive, and when the payment will arrive in your account. However, and this is really important to understand, this review process is absolutely massive and is still ongoing. It started back in 2021 and is expected to continue for several more years because examining hundreds of thousands of pension records is an enormous administrative undertaking. This means that even if you are entitled to a payment, you might not have been contacted yet simply because your particular case hasn't been reviewed yet in the queue. This is exactly why being proactive becomes so important rather than just sitting back and waiting. If you got married or entered a civil partnership after reaching state pension age, you need to check whether your pension increased at that specific time. If it didn't increase and your husband was entitled to a full basic state pension, there's a very strong possibility you could be owed money that's been accumulating over the years.
If you're a widow or widower, your state pension absolutely should have increased after your spouse passed away to include their additional state pension entitlements. If you didn't see any increase at all, or if the increase seems smaller than you would have expected based on your spouse's work history, that's a major red flag that suggests you might have been underpaid and need to investigate further. For anyone who made the decision to defer their state pension, you need to dig out your paperwork and carefully check the calculation. Work out exactly how many weeks you deferred for, calculate what the uplift to your pension should have been based on the official rates, and compare that figure with what you're actually receiving in your bank account every 4 weeks. The deferral increase for the old state pension is 1% for every 5 weeks you defer, which works out to approximately 10.4% for each full year of deferral. If you turned 80 after you started receiving your state pension, you should have seen a small but meaningful increase in your weekly payment at that milestone birthday. The current age addition for the tax year is £0.25 per week, which might not sound like much when you first hear it, but if you didn't receive it when you should have, you're owed that money backdated all the way to your 80th birthday, plus interest on top. What should you actually do if you think you might be affected by any of these scenarios? The first concrete step is to contact the pension service directly, either by phone or by letter. When you make contact, clearly explain that you've heard about the underpayment corrections that are taking place and that you want your pension calculation checked to ensure accuracy. Be as specific as possible about your circumstances, mentioning things like marriage after state pension age, widowhood, pension deferral, or reaching age 80. It's extremely helpful if you can gather relevant documentation before you make contact with them. This might include old pension statements that show your payment history, letters about pension increases you've received over the years, your marriage certificate if relevant to your situation, your spouse's death certificate if you were widowed, and any records of national insurance contributions you might have kept. Having this information ready and organized can genuinely help speed up the investigation into your case. When you contact the DWP, they should be able to tell you whether your case has already been reviewed as part of their systematic exercise. If it has been reviewed, they'll explain the outcomes to you. If it hasn't been reviewed yet, they can still look into your specific query and check whether your pension is being calculated correctly. Don't be discouraged if you're told you'll have to wait for a response. These checks can take time because they're thorough, but it's absolutely worth pursuing if you think you're owed money. So there you have it, a complete breakdown of the DWP's confirmed £562 payment for state pensioners born before 1961. I really hope this video has clarified exactly what's happening and what you need to do if you think you might be potentially affected by these underpayments. This is money you've earned through years of hard work and national insurance contributions throughout your career. It's not charity or a favor from the government. It's your money, plain and simple. And if you're owed it, you absolutely deserve to receive it without delay. If this video helped you understand the situation better, please give it a big thumbs up because it really does help the channel grow and reach more people. Share this video with your friends, family members, or anyone you know who might be affected by these issues. There are still thousands of pensioners out there who have absolutely no idea they're owed money, and sharing this information could genuinely help someone claim what's rightfully theirs. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already done so, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss important updates like this one. Comment below and let me know if this information was useful to you, or if you have any questions about your own personal situation. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, check your pension, and make sure you get everything you deserve.